The most successful businesses in the world are those that have figured out the difference between customer experience and customer service. And you might be thinking to yourself, aren't they the same? I wouldn't fault you because we use those two terms synonymously. But I assure you they're very, very different. Customer experience is about creating time well spent for the client, whereas customer service is always about saving the client time. A drive-through window at a fast food joint, that's customer service. They don't even make you get out of the car, right? They make it as easy as possible to satisfy you. That's what customer service does. Customer service satisfies. You don't want to satisfy clients. Yes, that's just such a low bar. There's all kinds of evidence. All kinds of satisfied clients leave businesses for another, and it happens all the time. Satisfaction isn't enough. What we want is an experience that engages and delights the client. So if client service is about saving time, customer experience is about creating time well spent. Time where your client doesn't want to rush, where they want to take their telephone out of their pocket and maybe take a picture of something, okay? Time, an experience that engages your client in an inherently personal way and delights them in a personal way and surprises them even. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. I can give you all kinds of examples of this. Here's the first place that experience and service differ. So remember, experience is time well designed. The very first thing that you think about is emotion. Before we think about business outcome, what the heck do we want our client to do? What do we want this person coming into our business to do? We want them to buy something. Okay, that's the business outcome. When you're staging an experience, and pay attention to these verbs, we deliver services effectively and efficiently with the idea of saving you time. But we stage experiences. Totally different objective. The objective is first to make you feel something. That's the emotional outcome. Then we worry, of course, about the business outcome, which would be we want you to buy something. Okay? So it starts with emotion. How do you want the client to feel? And how you want the client to feel is seen. You want them to feel understood. You want to create opportunity for them to participate somehow, to participate with the brand and ultimately belong. That's what experience does. So here's my story. 50 million years ago, I owned a Toshiba Lifebook. That was my laptop. Fantastic machine, by the way. They marketed them as tough. They said, this is like this machine, you can drop it off a pickup truck, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. It'll always turn on and work. And as I fly a ton, this was appealing to me, okay? That machine was amazing. I used to affectionately call it my Toshiba life sentence because I joked that I was going to carry it, for my whole career kind of thing. Anyhow, it finally gave up the ghost. After years and years of effective and fantastic service, it died. I went out to a great big electronics store to replace it. I was going to buy the exact same product I had in my hand. The machine I already believed in. I'm going to go buy another one. So I drive myself out to this store, and I'm going to start even outside the store. I think I can tell you who it is. It's Best Buy, which is a perfectly fantastic store for all kinds of other people. So I pull into the parking lot. Can you picture what a big Best Buy store is? It's an enormous store with a little tiny door on it. Like the store is a warehouse, but it's just got a regular kind of door. Anyhow, I walk over there. As soon as I get in, so help me God, I walk into a table of electronic gadgets. Like I walk into the store and I'm immediately stopped in my tracks by an obstacle that's covered in stuff that I'm not interested in. Okay, literally at the time it was cameras. Okay, all of these cameras calling out to me in their little digital voice. Remember me, we're cameras. We're not on your phone. I make my way around that table. I start going to the back of the store. At the back of the store is where I need to go. Oh my goodness. I had to walk through video games, home appliance stuff, blah, 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 blah. Where this is going is, it's too much of a task for me. I'm hating it. I'm walking into the store ready to buy what I already have owned and I'm sold on it. But I'm not even to the stuff and I start to anticipate What's going to happen when I get there? The guy's going to start asking me all kinds of questions and oh God. And I decide, this sucks. I don't want to be here. This is the wrong day for me to do this. So I turn around and I leave the store. And while I'm driving back to my office, I call Tom, my friend and business partner. And I say to him, half joking, man, we should get Best Buy as a client, man. Holy cow, they need to work on their experience. And I just tell him, I go, I just went there to buy a computer and I turned around, I didn't even do it. Like I walked in cash in hand, I got the hell out of there. And Tom says, where's the Apple store? We live in different towns. I said, oh, it's in this mall. He goes, how close are you to that mall? Go not too far. He says, go there right now. Listen to what he said. Go there right now. It's going to change your life. That's a big thing to say. He goes, just go buy a Mac. It will change your life. So I went to the shopping mall near my office where there's a big Apple store. And I walked into that Apple store for the first time. Now let's start right here. I said earlier, it starts with emotion. And I said, the last thing that you want to do is make your clients satisfied. So here's 3 quick little questions before I get into this story. At all times, if you want to improve your client experience, look at the client journey. From before your client enters your business to like when they're literally thinking about going to your business, to crossing the threshold, going into your business, to engaging with your business, talking to your staff, asking questions, etc., to leaving, exiting the experience, and even beyond that, to the extending phase, we call it, when they're looking back on their experience. What are they feeling? What are they thinking? Okay? You look at that entire client journey and you ask these 3 questions. What do I do well and how can I do it a little bit better? How can I increase satisfaction? So a moment ago I said, well, it's not about satisfaction, and now I'm telling you, well, think a little bit about satisfaction. Of course, satisfaction's part of it. It's just not all of it. The second question is the biggest one. Where is there a sacrifice? So I already told you one. I walked into a store to buy a laptop I've already owned that I'm already sold on. The laptop was at the back of the store. There was obstacles. It was entirely too busy. In keynotes, I tell this story. I get the whole place laughing. Refrigerators, all kinds of gadgets, doodads, acoustic guitars, for God's sakes. I just wanted a computer, okay? Look at your client journey. What can you improve? Where can you improve, increase satisfaction? Where can you decrease sacrifice? That's the big one. And a third question is, where is there an opportunity for a surprise? Okay? Where is there an opportunity for a surprise? If you need any help with this, leave me a comment. I'll help you out. That's why I'm here. Okay. So I get to the shopping mall. I park my car. I walk in. I find the Apple store. And as soon as I look at the Apple store, I'm surprised. I see something interesting. Have you been to an Apple store? Okay. How big's the door? It's the whole wall. And it starts right there. Literally, the big Best Buy store, I remember thinking, God, this is the goofiest thing, great big warehouse, little tiny door. I get to the Apple store, the whole damn wall is a store. You just walk in easy. The next thing I noticed at that time was all the Apple employees were wearing blue shirts, the same shirt. And there were dozens of them seemingly. Like everywhere I looked in that store, I could see help. Okay? Here's the next thing. I didn't see anything but Apple stuff. Well, clearly it's an Apple store. They're not going to sell other gadgets. This is true. But what it was for me was things on like giant wooden tables and maybe 6 items on each table. The tables are spread out. It was easy to walk around the store. I just walked out of another store with money in my hand I never gave them. Okay? Why? Because I was frustrated. Within 3 minutes of being in there, I realized this is not the day to get this done. Stick with me. I see the little MacBooks and I walk over to them. I'm checking them all out. Within a moment, there's a person with me. Hey, can I help you? I said, yes, I'm here. And I'll never forget, I said, I'm here to buy a MacBook, because I wasn't even sure what the hell they were called. And the guy says, yeah, these are them. Right away, he goes, do you want an 11-inch or a 13-inch? This is about seen, understood. So I look at him and it looks like this. He goes, what do you do? So I tell him as painlessly as I can what I do. He says, okay, do you fly a lot? Understood, seen. I look at him and I go, Yeah, I fly all the time. He says, get the 11-inch. You don't need the 13-inch. You just need the 11-inch. You don't want to carry the extra heavy machine around. I said, no, I guess not. He says, you're going to bring it back to your office, right? Yeah, he says, get an external monitor. Just plug it into that. When you're working at your desk, you'll have a great big screen you can look at. You don't need it. Yeah, that was really smart. And then I said, okay. And then he says, do you want a mouse or a trackpad? And I said, I want a mouse, because that's what I know. He goes like this. No, you don't. I said, I don't. He goes, no, you want a trackpad. I said, really? He goes, yeah, you're going to hate it for about 2 hours, and then you're never going to look back. Whatever your name was, you're right. All these years later, I love that damn trackpad, so thank you for that. So I said, okay, I'll take it. Just like that. Just as quick, he says, okay, do you have a credit card? If you've been to an Apple store, you know this. They've eliminated the checkout. The person that you're dealing with, the associate, the salesperson, whatever the hell they call them in an Apple store, a godsend is what I call him. He just took my credit card and he has the ability there. Boom, it's paid for. I look around the store. I've been in the store for all of 5 minutes. Now I'm going, what the hell is this? And I look around. What do I see in the store? And what don't I see? Well, we know that I've seen tables with a few things on them. Yeah. I noticed the Genius bar at the back. Oh my goodness, where I have had occasion to visit. And each time I go, I love it. And each time I go, I tell myself, I'm going to do this more often. It's a resolution for next year for me, my friends. And then what I don't see is a checkout place. Just stick with me. Had I gone through the struggle, and that's going to be a big word today, the struggle of sticking it out at Best Buy and going to the back and getting the product that I know and love, the Toshiba Lifebook that I dropped 1,000,000 times and it kept on working. That thing, oh, it earned its love that I had for it. Had I got it from that guy, I would have had to walk to the front of the store and get in line and wait for people who bought lamps and printers and whatever the hell else they sell, whatever, some kind of gadget. It would have added more time to my life. And then I would have had to crawl out the little tiny door that's entirely too small for the great big building. Instead, I look around the Apple store, there is no checkout. So just as I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't wait to tell Tom how awesome this is. Like, this is just so fun. Another associate shows up and he hands me a bag. And I look at him like, what the hell is this? And in the bag is the machine I just bought and the trackpad and all this crazy stuff. Okay? They've eliminated all kinds of sacrifice. Literally, I said, okay, and it's receipt done. And I look at the guy and I almost feel like I'm stealing if I walk out. Like if I can just go? He's like, yeah, thanks for coming. It was all fabulous. All right. I leave the place. I get back in my car. I drive to my office. I call Tom. I say, oh, Tom, that was just fantastic. Yeah, he goes, did you get one? I did. Now let me tell you something. I went in to buy a Toshiba Lifebook that in those days would have cost $500. I bought a MacBook for $1,500. I paid 3 times the price for a machine that is unknown to me that was replacing, I've said it a few times now, a machine that was amazing. Okay, so I get back, I say to Tom, oh my God, that was just so fantastic. And Tom says, oh yeah. And he says, okay, well, let's get that thing all set up for you. I go, I can't get this thing all set up for myself. I got a call like in 10 minutes. So help me God. Tom says, yeah, we can do that. We can do it. He goes, open it up. Okay, we just found the next point of sacrifice. You know when you buy some tech gadget and then you got to unpackage it? And you have to literally tear it apart like an animal, chew it apart. It's got those big brass staples in it. And then you got to unwrap it. It's in bubble wrap. It's in all this stuff. Then packing tape, my God. It's like they packaged it to deliver it from a low Earth orbit. Like this thing's got to go through the atmosphere, you know? And by the time you're done unpackaging that, what have you done? You made a mess in your office. You got garbage all over the floor, okay? So I am resisting. Oh, I don't want to do this, Tom. He goes, no, just get it. So help me God. This is gospel. This is exactly what happened. I said to him, all right. So I take the thing out of the bag and I put it on the table, lovely little box. and I just slide the lid off. Came right off easy. There was no struggle. The machine is lovely. It's small, it's light, it's beautiful. A little hat tip to Steve Jobs, rest in peace, who said, I want to make technology that's so beautiful when somebody walks into a room, they want to touch it. They see it and they want to walk over and put their hands on it. My friends out there in YouTube land, I'm not a tech guy. Without knowing Steve Jobs ever said that, I was holding this thing in my hand. It was like, came in cellophane. I peeled it off. I was like, look how thin and light and beautiful this thing is. And then I say to Tom, oh, take the trackpad out, all that stuff. And I say to him, I'm an idiot. I didn't buy batteries. Tom goes, turn it on. I said, no, I'm looking at the trackpad. I go, there's this little thing right here. I can see where I unscrew it and put batteries in. I didn't think to get batteries. Tom says, it would be inconsistent with everything that Apple is if they didn't put batteries in it. When I turned it on, it had batteries in it. When I opened the computer, it was charged. It took a moment to find itself. It smiled at me. It said, what's your name? I told it my name. It took a moment to think, so help me God. Then it asked me, is this your printer? And it showed me a picture of the printer I had in the other room. I said, yes, yes. It said, do you want to connect to it? My whole life, man. Here's a question for everybody out there that doesn't use a Mac. You buy a new computer? Yeah. And you do all your work on your new computer? Yeah. And then you email everything you're working on to your old computer because it's your old computer that still talks to the printer because you can't make the printer talk to your new computer? Yeah, I've been there. And this one says, do you want to connect to your computer? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, okay. It says, okay. I hit the button. It takes a minute. It says connected. Then it said, do you want to do a test print? I said, yes. I hit the button and it printed. Okay? Just hear me out. From that moment, I used my MacBook. I paid 3 times more for the product than I had to. Not because the product is necessarily that much better, if at all, than the Toshiba I used, but the experience of buying it, opening it, and using it made so much more sense. It's not about service, it's about experience. What was the emotion in there? Frustration when I went to the first place, intrigue, curiosity, and desire when I went to the second place, the Apple Store. Tell me more emotions, Dennis. Surprise, amazement, bewilderment. I literally used to joke about it in keynotes and say, when I left the room with my new computer, I felt like I was like leaving a Canadian hospital. Just sort of feels weird. Like, shouldn't I pay somebody? You're just gonna let me walk out the door? The whole thing was so smooth. What do they do really well? Well, they improve satisfaction. You can do the same thing by asking these questions. What do we do well? And how can we just do it this much better? What did they do? Well, they eliminated like waiting and lining up. They almost overstaffed the store. Okay, it's easy and perfect. You're not lost endlessly comparing. Okay, they see you, they ask me the right questions. The guy literally, do you fly a lot? What a question. About 130 times a year. Then get the 11-incher, man. I'm now on my 3rd MacBook, okay? They eliminate sacrifice, they improve satisfaction, and go to the part where I'm at my desk. Surprise, there's batteries in it. Surprise, it's easy to open. For everybody sitting out there, you might not use a MacBook, you might still have a PC. Do you use an iPhone? Yeah. Or maybe you do have other Apple devices. Here's a question for you. Did you keep the boxes? Do you still have all kinds of iPhone boxes in a drawer from a phone that you haven't used in 8 or 9 years? You might want to explore that a little bit. Why are you holding on to those boxes? Because they were part of the experience and they've become memorabilia, haven't they? Okay, the experience is so cool, you're literally keeping the box. When I gave my very first MacBook away to Susan, who still works with me, Tom said, no. You have to repackage it all for her perfectly so that when she opens it, she has the same experience as you. Customer experience is so much bigger than customer service. Stop obsessing about saving people time. You know what that does? It gets you commoditized. Okay? When you focus on creating time well spent, time that's meaningful, memorable, and deeply personal, that's where the profit is, my friend. That's where success is. That's where your future is. That's where people sing your praises all the time. Don't get sucked into the service trap. Don't confuse them. They're not the same. Okay? Thanks for listening. Watch this video.